through some things where it's not just in writing, but between now and August 19th, when you start courses, you're going to be receiving this information again and again because we feel like repetition is helpful, especially in your busy lives. All right, so I'd love for the team to introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with our academic director, Dr. Joel Sokol. Joel?
Hi there. I'm Joel Sokol. I'm a professor here at Georgia Tech and have been for 20 years. And I'm director of the Master of Science in Analytics program here, both on campus and online. And it's great to have so many of you joining us, and welcome.
Great. Thank you, Joel. And then, as I mentioned, my name is Jennifer Woolley. I'm our Director of Professional Master's Programs, and I oversee the operations, but then also the student services aspect of our program. And I have two of my wonderful colleagues on the session today. Some of you, or probably most of you, have talked to them or have seen their name a lot. But I would love to have them introduce themselves, our academic advisors, Justin and Yvonne. Justin, could we start with you?
Everybody, I'm Justin LaFontano. I'm one of the two academic advisors currently working with this degree program. Odds are, if you had admissions questions or needed help with transcripts or something of that nature, you probably either heard from me directly or indirectly. So I'm glad you've made it this far, and we're going to take you the rest of the way. So glad you're here today.
Great, thank you. And last but not least, Yvonne.
Hi, everyone. I am so happy to see you here today. I'm sure this is a very exciting moment. It's exciting for us as well. We look forward to being able to assist and said we probably already talked to you, but I encourage conversations and the use of our email, and we will talk again soon. So sit tight, enjoy the ride.
Great, thank you. We also have two other team members on the session today that support us in just onboarding our students. So one is Michael Proctor, our system support engineer, and he is going to be walking through the technology requirements with all of you in account setup. And then we also have Ramon Rodriguez, he's our instructional designer for a lot of our online courses, and he's going to walk through some of that platform overview. All right, let's get started. I'm going to turn it over to Justin to go through some admissions reminders.
Yep. Hi, everybody. Sorry, just getting my camera turned on there. So you all have been admitted to the program, but some of you may still be waiting on your invites to studies is going to be working throughout the summer to make sure everybody's files are final. For the most part, this will not affect your ability to register when registration opens in August. Let me see, I see my audio might be breaking up. I hope that's better. The only instances where you may have issues is if you did not provide us at least an unofficial copy of your bachelor's level transcript and degree document when you applied, and so we don't have proof that you have a bachelor's degree at all. But other than that, for the most part, everybody is just crossing T's and dotting I's and getting registered as soon as possible. Another big thing we see are lawful presence. So if you're here in the United States and you haven't provided a copy of visa or your Georgia driver's license or documents from other resources such as your passport, there's a few other ways to satisfy lawful presence. Those are easily taken care of by emailing us, but just Office of Graduate Studies is going to let you know when they've completed their review, and at that time you'll be notified that your checklist is updated, letting you know exactly what is outstanding from your application. But for the most part, we're just finalizing reviews, and everything should go smoothly going into registration in August. Also, just a note, some of you may have received notification about your immunization requirement, please disregard that. All of our online students are waived from that requirement and don't need to provide a TOEFL score, or I'm sorry, an immunization record. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Justin. One more thing to add. So Justin indicated that you will have no trouble registering for fall, but if you don't get those required documents in time for spring registration to when it opens, you will have a hold on your account. So it's just better to deal with it now, get it out of the way, get those documents in because it will catch up to you. All right, I'm going to now turn it over to Michael Proctor, and he is going to go over our technology requirements and account setup. Mike?
Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to Georgia Tech. And I'm going to cover some of the technology requirements that you'll have to adhere to while enrolled as a student at Georgia Tech. We primarily ask that students use a notebook or desktop computer. We ask that you do not use any tablets of any sort. Yes, a Surface is acceptable because it's a fully operating computer, but iPad, Galaxy tabs, we actually frown upon the use of those because they run on an applet-based platform as opposed to a full processing computer. 64-bit multi-core processor, 8 gigs or more is preferable. More memory, the better it operates. Windows 10 and Mac OS X 10, 12 or better. We recommend to keep your machines updated and patched and use some form of antivirus program to help protect you and your data. Next slide. When it comes to browsers, all browsers are acceptable: Explorer, Edge, Mozilla Firefox, and Google Chrome. We ask that the machine that you're using has a minimum of 256 gigs of RAM. Hard drive size. The larger the hard drive, the better. We do have external storage, cloud storage through OneDrive. As a student at Georgia Tech, you actually have access to OneDrive, and they provide up to, I think, 50 gigs of online storage per student. Next slide for me, Jennifer. For the GitHub users, Georgia Tech do and has a GitHub repository. The link is provided within your slide, and you would actually have the ability to actually search it. They ask if you're going to use GitHub to please create a private repository because of the number of people that would actually have access to it if it's a public repository. So if you are going to be using GitHub, please make sure that you secure it in some form. System options for your laptop or desktop. We ask that you basically have a headset with a microphone when you're actually working on an online platform such as WebEx or BlueJeans. We ask that you use it during the session to cut down on feedback and outside noise, but also so that everyone can hear you clearly, but you also can hear and work in the session clearly. Regarding the technology requirements for the Linux users, we have a listing of what's acceptable on campus, but when it comes to support of Linux, you guys are kind of on your own because one, Linux is not a fully supported OS, and we don't have as many software applications for Linux users. So primarily Windows and Mac, you're going to find everything that you need, but there are some alternatives for Linux users if you do want to use that as an operating system. Next tab. When it comes to setting up your Georgia Tech account, if you have not done so or you're in the process of doing it, the passport.gatech.edu website is the main place where you would actually take care of all your accounts and contact information when it comes to Georgia Tech, your Georgia Tech account. Once you actually create or set up your account for the first time, you can also go in and set your emergency notifications You can create a Georgia Tech alias if you want, and you will get the information in your kickoff packets with step-by-step instructions on how to go through that process. Next slide, Jennifer. Office 365 and Georgia Tech email are one and the same. You actually see the link on the slide provided to you. mail.gitech.edu is where you can actually go and log into your actual Office 365 email account. But if you also go to office.com and you log in using your Georgia Tech credentials, it will be your Georgia Tech name at gitech.edu and the password that you create in Passport. That's how you would access your mail and all of the Office 365 suite and the applications. We have a screenshot of the main apps that's provided, but we are adding new apps on a daily basis. So take a look and take advantage of what Georgia Tech has to offer as a student. Now, when setting up your Georgia Tech email account, all students are required to activate your Georgia Tech account, set it up, log in, and you're not allowed to forward your Georgia Tech email. All students are required to check their email at least once a day. That's listed in the Georgia Tech policy, but you also have the ability to log in and actually check and use other apps. But again, the Office of Information Technology and all students have to adhere to using the Georgia Tech email. You are not allowed and will not be allowed to forward emails to any third-party off-campus providers. Now, additional resources as students, we have a slew of software that's free and some at huge discounts that we've provided in this list. Again, Office 365 Online Suite is accessible to you as a Georgia Tech student for as long as you are a student. So you can download it, log in, and use the software apps locally on your machine or in the cloud. We do have a list of free downloads that you can use as long as you're a Georgia Tech student, including some CAD type programs. The discount site, Georgia Tech is a part of the university system, and collectively they provide software for students to get access to at a huge rate, Adobe Professional, and a few other software that's out there that you can take a look at. We also do provide a library of instructional videos and learning through linda.gitech.edu. So, please take advantage of the actual stuff that's provided to you.
Great, thanks, Mike. I just want to clarify a couple of things, and then I have a couple of questions for you. So can you just talk through with everybody, like, why they shouldn't forward? Like, so let's say, because they're asking, like, why can't I and what will go wrong? I think that's good to just outline for everybody.
So best practice is to use the Georgia Tech email, because when you forward your email, in the process, it doesn't sync a message on campus and then forwards it. It basically removes your inbox from Office 365. If you elect to not set up your email for campus, you will not actually have an inbox. That process then disqualifies you from receiving any information. One, because it doesn't guarantee that your messages or mail will get forwarded to that third-party vendor. And again, Office 365, all of the apps are integrated together. So not activating your email probably you would not get any information going forward on campus. We have had issues where students were forwarding their messages and never got any type of update or notification. Two, we actually would not contact you at any email outside of the Georgia Tech email. So when you're actually requesting support or you're trying to get contact with anyone, they're expecting to be sending an email to your Georgia Tech email address.
Great, thanks, Mike. A couple other things to just clarify with this whole technology and account setup. One is, so we love Office 365 and it's a great tool for all of you, but something to be mindful of is that if you step out of the program for 2 semesters, your account will become deactivated because you'll have to, which I'll get into in a little bit, you'll have to apply for readmission to the program. What that does with Office 365 is it essentially wipes out everything that you have. So if you, hey, you guys in 315, could you mute your mic? If you could back up, or if you know that you're going to take a pause, grab some of those files off. This also will happen when you graduate. You have about 90 days that you'll have your account, and then all of those files will go away. So just something to keep in mind and think about. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is with the email address, and so it is policy to answer and look at your email, not answer, but to look at your email once a day. The reason being is that you could miss something very important, whether it's coming from your instruction team in the course or from the program team. Right now, we are communicating to you with that email address that you provided in your application. After the first week of classes, so once drop add is completed, which we'll go over in a minute as well, but that's after the end of the first week, we will start communicating and only communicate with you with your Georgia Tech email, which for us is your username at gottech.edu. So we have had students that have missed a lot. We send out a lot of reminders. We know that you're busy, and so we will send you a lot of prompts about, hey, this is when registration's happening. Hey, here's the courses that we're going to offer in spring. So a lot of information is going to be coming to you, and you just don't want to you want to make sure that you're not going to miss it. Thanks, Mike. Okay, I'm now going to turn it over to Yvonne, and she is going to walk through the program platforms, some of them that you will use in the program. Yvonne?
So, hello again. What you will see throughout this program, your time in the program, is that Buzzport will come up very often, and Buzzport is like your gateway to all things student related. So a lot of the things that you access will start through Buzzport, and that's going to include things such as links to your Canvas, your degree works, Oscar, the bursar, the registrar, your official transcripts if you need to order those, and other links to places such as Lynda, where there's a lot of tutorial videos, the library catalog, but a couple of things in particular that are going to be great for you. We'll talk about Canvas in a little bit. DegreeWorks is coming up next, and Oscar, which is your registration portal. And so you will use that to search the catalog to find and register for your courses, to view classes and their CRNs, although that's a lot of information that we do send out to you, and you'll get that soon, as well as view your financial aid information. And although the picture is kind of small, you can see what that's going to look like for you when you first enter into Buzzport.
Yvonne touched on a really important note that I want you guys to all just kind of take note of. So in a lot of programs, students are having to come to Oscar and kind of search and find out which ones are being offered. We actually send that to you. Each semester, we give you the course name, we give you the CRN. Going back to what I said, we know you're busy, and so we try to give you all the information that you need so that you can be successful. So just kind of keep that in mind. But you could go in and do a lot of searching and find out, but we do provide that information to you.
The next thing right here is DegreeWorks, and this is going to be extremely helpful for you in a couple of different ways. DegreeWorks is going to show you your actual degree audit, and what that does is it allows you to see the required courses in the program as well as some elective options. If you have advanced standing, or if you're going to opt out of a course and have a subsequent waiver, That screen is going to show you where those courses actually go, or it'll actually notify you, and you will be able to reach out to us and say, hey, that course isn't where it's supposed to be, or hey, I don't see my advanced standing, and that can begin that conversation. The other thing that this does is it shows you what courses you're registered for, what courses are in progress, and after the semester, your grades will actually populate. This is a useful tool, especially for people who have to submit their grades to their employers if you're getting some kind of tuition reimbursement after you successfully complete a course. This degree audit right here will be, you can use that because your name is on it, your identifying information, your program, and again, it will show you what your grades are. It's useful for that. Our military students use it to show and provide verification that they're in class, they've completed whatever courses and what their grades are. You'll be able to see your academic standing. When you apply for graduation, you'll be able to see that. So this tool is very, very useful. And there's the link that you'll be able to access it from. And again, for curriculum, grades, employment verification. As a student, when you're in your Buzzport, it should automatically actually populate. If it doesn't and it comes up as a blank slate, you'll just enter your GTID number in and hit enter, and then it will take you directly to your actual audit.
Awesome. Thanks, Yvonne. One little note, because some of this information is going to be in the upcoming emails. I see a couple of questions coming through. So we are a little behind with those emails. What we decided to do with this presentation, as well as our kickoff packet, is to include a lot more information to be helpful for our students. And so we're getting to the final stages, but what you will receive this week is the list of courses and course descriptions so that you can start thinking through how you want to approach your first semester. The information that Dr. Sokol is going to give you is going to, combined with that information, will definitely get you ready for when registration opens on August 10th. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Ramon, and he's going to walk through our learning management system and a couple other platforms that you will use in your course.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just going to run you through like a visual tour of what you can expect to see when you're signing into just a typical course within the program. So in order to actually get into Canvas, which is where all your coursework work is going to be housed, you just can search for canvas.gatech.edu, and it'll pull up the screen that you see here. That yellow horizontal bar that runs across the top has some really great links. So if you have an opportunity, take some time and scroll around and see what's in there. There is a self-help tab, which can give you a lot of helpful information on Canvas, as well as a frequently asked questions tab. So those are two great places to start. But when you're ready to get into Canvas, you just click on the Log into Canvas feature that's there, and it'll take you to that two-factor authentication that Michael was talking about earlier. So you just enter in your GT account email, your password, you click Login, and it will actually ask you how you want to receive that two-factor authentication. You just select whichever one works for you, and then it'll sign you into your Canvas dashboard. So your Canvas dashboard is going to look something like what you see here. Basically, running down the center of the screen, you'll see that there's a selection of tiles. Those are going to be the courses that you are currently enrolled into. You can click and drag them around in order to put them into a more convenient or workable way for you. So if there's a particular course that you access more than another, you can drag it and put it up towards the top and make it easier to get access to. Over on the right-hand side of the screen, there is like a coming up or to-do list, if you will, that covers everything in all your courses. So if there's a due date for a specific item or office hours, it'll give you a little tickler of that of what you have that's coming up. And then lastly, over on the left-hand side, there's a blue bar that runs from top to bottom, and that's your global navigation. So as you can see right now, we're on the dashboard link, but if we go to the next slide, you can actually adjust the amount of courses. So as you start enrolling into other courses, your dashboard might get a little full. And if there's certain things that you don't necessarily need to see too often, you can just click on that courses tab, and it'll give you this list that you see here of all the courses that you're enrolled into. If you click on the little orange star, when it's orange, that means it's on your desktop. When it goes to clear, that means it's not sitting on your desktop, but if you ever needed to get back to it, you just come back to the screen, turn it orange, and then it's right back there for you. The next slide, please. This will take you to your calendar view. So again, this is kind of a global view of your calendar. So it kind of reiterates what we saw on that to-do list on the original dashboard screen. So anything that has any kind of a release and or due date, such as office hours and assignments, will be listed here on the calendar. You can actually go day by using the small calendar in the upper right-hand corner. And then below that, you can pick and choose which courses you want to see. So if you don't really want to see everything all at once, you can then select a specific course that you want to see, and it'll just populate the calendar with those release and due dates. Next. And then lastly, the thing I'll refer to is our help menu that you see there. There's a lot of really great help that's available to you that's out there. Just highlighting a couple. The second one down is report a problem. So if you see some problem or issue with Canvas itself, you can just go in there and send off a ticket. It's set up kind of like an email, so you just type in your information and hit send. Moving down from there, there is the Georgia Tech Canvas site, which takes you back to the site that we started on, which had those self-help guides and frequently asked questions and so on and so forth. Then down towards the bottom, you'll see that there's 2 lines of support for you. So there is a Canvas support hotline. So there's a phone number that you can call. And there is also a chat feature that you can get live chat. So you can use either one of those in order to get immediate assistance with Canvas at any time. The last one that I want to touch on is a little bit back more up towards the top, and it's the Search Canvas Guides. It's the 4th one down. When you click on that, it'll take you to this image that you see here. So on the upper left-hand side is the main image. So when you click on the link, it'll actually bring you there. And this is the Canvas Student Guide portal. And you'll see that there is a tile there for Canvas Guides. When you click on that, it'll open up the image that's in the bottom right-hand corner. And you can see that the arrow is pointing to a student Canvas guide. This is a great place to go for information. If you want to know how to do anything from a student's perspective, they will have everything broken down in there in what I call job aid format. So it'll be a short little document that lists images and descriptions, step-by-step instructions, and it can run you through learning how to do anything that we're talking about here today, and anything else that you may be interested to know. So if you go to the next slide for us. So we're back to our home page. So this is our dashboard. So we're going to go into one of the courses. So we're just going to go into that regression analysis, and it'll take us to the next slide. So here is your landing page. So a typical Canvas course is going to have a landing page. It'll start with a banner across the top that lists the name of the course as well as the course number. Underneath that, you'll see there's a welcome section where there are 4 links that I'm going to discuss briefly here in just a few minutes. And then underneath that, you'll find other important information that's very basic for the course. So it'll talk about an instructor bio, student honor code, prerequisites, basic description of the overall course. So just a lot of very basic upfront information. There's also the menu that runs down the left-hand side, which is your menu for the courses as you sign into them. So you can see that we're highlighted as being on the home page. So anywhere you go in the course, when you click home, it'll always bring you back to the landing page. Lastly here, over to the right, you'll see that there's a to-do list that's there. Of course, there's nothing there at the moment. But once you get signed in and your courses are open, anything that's set up with a due date or your office hours that is specific to this particular course will actually be visible there. So you'll only just see what's coming up on your to-do list for that specific course. You can go to the next slide. So we're going to click on that start here from the from our welcome page that we came in, the landing page. There is a series of 6 steps that you can see here that everyone has to complete for every course that you sign into. So anytime you sign into any course, you'll always start where it says start here. It'll bring you to this page that you can see here, and this outlines the 6 steps that's here. The thing that I want to draw your attention to is over in the circle on the right-hand side. You'll see that each step has a little circle icon next to it. That means that it has not been completed. We're going to talk about completing each of these items here briefly, but as you complete these items, it'll change that to a green check mark for you. The reason I'm pointing this out to you is when you click on the Start Here button, it's not going to take you right to this screen. It's actually going to take you into the first step, which we'll see in a minute. And you'll run through those. Once you're complete, you'll be able to review. You need to have a green check mark next to all 6 of these items in order to view any course content. Once you have that check mark, it'll unlock your course content based on the dates in the syllabus and course schedule that's provided by each instructor. So let's go ahead and click on the first step, and you can go to the next slide. So our first step is to link to edX. So as you can see here, there's some basic information that you might need to know about edX, and then there is a link that is right there on the page. You'll click on that link and it'll take you to the next screen. There you go. And this is your single sign-on. So it should automatically populate this information for you as long as you're signing into edX through Canvas. So it'll automatically populate this. You just hit sign in and it'll take you to the next screen. So this is your dashboard in edX. Now, if you come to your dashboard, you'll see here down the center of the screen, there's 2 classes that's displaying here. You should see your classes here once you sign on. If you sign in here and this screen is empty, there's a good possibility you may have signed into edX on your own or at some other time. Now, edX does cache logins. So if you come here and it's blank and you know it's not supposed to be, then just pull up a new browser window, type in edX.com and go in and hit sign out or log out, and then go back into Canvas and access edX through your link in Canvas. That way it takes your single sign-on and it'll just sign you in automatically. If for some reason you go through a drop add period and you add new classes or drop some other ones, sometimes it should update immediately for you here, but sometimes there can be a little bit of a lag time. So my suggestion to you is if you either drop and or add something, give it 24 hours to update your edX dashboard. If for some reason it doesn't, you can just reach out to for assistance in order to make sure that it's been taken care of. But like I said, don't panic if it doesn't happen right away. So let's just go into the course. As you can see here, this is inside a course, and it's all laid out the exact same way in a very typical fashion. So what you've got here is starting at the top, there's a course information section. When you click on that, it'll give you whatever sub topics are going to be underneath that, and then below that you'll see there's a hypertext link there that says GT Learners course information. That's how you'll get to all your information. What's on edX is almost always going to be your non-graded content. So it's usually going to be videos, PowerPoints, knowledge checks, that kind of stuff, anything that's going to be ungraded. Things that are going to be graded are going to actually be in Canvas. So you'll only be coming over here to just view content for your course. You can go to the next slide. So we're back at Canvas. So we've logged into edX. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's an arrow pointing to a done button. When we first came in, that button said mark as done. In order to complete step 1, as far as Canvas is concerned, you will always have to click that button and turn it green to done. You'll scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll hit next. And it takes us to step 2. Step 2 is signing into your Piazza form. That's as easy as following the instructions on the screen by clicking the Piazza link over to the left. So Piazza is basically like a virtual space to meet and chat in. You'll be able to chat with other students in that particular course, as well as the course team, including your TAs and professors. You can post questions, have questions answered, and even answer other people's questions. And if for some reason you need to ask a question that you feel needs to stay more private, you can privately message the course team in order to get those answered. When you're done, you click the done button and hit next, and it takes you to step 3. Step 3 is going to talk about communication settings. So how do you want to get notified about what's going on inside of Canvas? So there's some text there to read, and then there's a series of images that'll take you through screenshots of exactly what you need to set up in order to customize how you're being kept abreast of what's going on in your course. Again, when you hit done and then go down to the bottom and hit next, it takes you to step 4. Step 4 is just going to get you familiar with course resources and where they are located. So over on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see that there is a downloadable document that I put a snapshot of. And so basically what you're seeing here is it just tells you where you need to go to find whatever particular information you're looking for. So if you're looking for exams or weekly assignments or office hours, that's going to be in Canvas. If you're looking for things like videos and lessons or PowerPoints and knowledge checks, that's going to be in edX. So each course will have their own and it will outline exactly what it is that you need for that course and where you need to go in order to find that information. You click done and hit next, and it takes you to step 5. Step 5 talks about proctoring information. So there are, you may have proctored exams or other proctored events that go on in your courses. ProctorTrack is the service that provides the proctoring for our exams. So on this page, it just basically tells you some basic information about ProctorTrack and gives you some resources to be able to answer any other questions you may have in regards to that. You click done and hit next, and it takes us to the last step, which is step 6. This is onboarding and identity verification. So in this, you actually get to test out how ProctorTrack works. Now, this particular practice proctored exam, it's 7 questions based on the student honor code, and it will run you through the exact steps that you would do for any proctored event that you're going to attend. So for instance, once you read the instructions and you hit the get access code, it'll take you into capturing a screenshot of your face, a screenshot of a picture identification, and then it may ask for other verification measures. You're doing this at the beginning here in order for that information to be retained so that when you go take another exam in this particular event, those pieces of information can be verified against one another to prove that you are who you say you are and that the person taking the test is the person that should be taking the test. It's also going to be captured here at the front, even if you don't have a proctored event in your course, because it's our way of making sure that you're understanding not only the student honor code policy, but it's verifying that the person who is taking the course is the person who should be taking the course. Again, you can take this quiz as many times as you need to. So if you have a proctored event that's coming up, feel free and take it just to familiarize yourself with the process of signing into a proctored event. So you can go to the next one. So that's the 6 steps that you must complete in order to be able to gain access to any of the course material within your course. And like I said, once you've completed it, you can see this item here on your module list that we'll take a look at in just a moment. But you can see I've got a green check mark next to everything. So that means that as the release dates come up for specific items within your course, it will unlock and you will be able to have access to that content. If you don't complete this and you do not have those check marks that's there, it will not unlock content. You won't be able to see anything else. You can go to the next slide. All right, so we just talked about the Start Here link underneath Welcome. So the next one is syllabus. You'll see that there's a version of it on the landing page that the right arrow is pointing to, and there's also a version of it in the navigation menu over on the left. But when you go to the next slide, it takes you to a page where you're going to find the syllabus. There's usually a downloadable version of the syllabus, as well as a course schedule, which should list important activities, dates, when they're going to release, when they're due, so on and so forth. Down at the bottom, you'll see that there is a course summary. So again, anything that's got a release date and a due date that's a deliverable that you're going to have to turn in is also going to be listed down there in the bottom under course summary. You can click on any of those items at any time, and it'll take you specifically to that item. And as long as that item is unlocked and available, you can read more about that if you need to. Also, there is the weights for the different types of assignments that's in your course that'll be listed over on the right-hand side of the screen. So how much weight is the midterm or the final or assignments and so on and so forth. So let's click on our home button there on the left, and it takes us back to our dashboard again. This time we're going to go into the modules. So you can go to the next slide. So the modules is going to be where you're going to find all of your course content. So what you're seeing here is it starts off with course information. So information that's a little bit more specific to the particular course that you're actually taking, whereas your landing page is more generic across the board information about the course. This will give you some specifics about the course that you may need to know that's not necessarily a graded content piece. Below there, you'll see there's that before you begin, the getting started modules that we're talking about. You can see there's check marks there. And then as you scroll down from that point, all of the course content is going to be listed in a simplified order that will allow you to work from the top to the bottom. You'll basically use your course schedule and you'll get access to those pieces as they unlock based on the dates on your syllabus, and you will just work them in order from top to bottom. So that's your module content. Next slide. So the last thing I'm going to touch on is just some other resources that's available to you. So we talked about Piazza earlier. If you're on your landing page, you can either click the Q&A forum or you can click the Piazza link from the menu on the left. Either way, takes you into Piazza so that you can interact with your course team and other fellow students. Some other pieces for you to be aware of is the announcement screen on the left. So basically, as the course team, if they have general announcements for everybody, they will post it there. It'll come and notify you. You'll also be able to see announcements on your dashboard. You can just come into the course and be able to see exactly what it is that they are sending out information to you for. If you ever want to check your grades, which of course I know you do, you just click on the grades link and it'll take you to the grade book. And then lastly, for attending office hours, that's going to be under Blue Jeans. You click on there and it'll take you to your sign-in office hours in order to interact with your course team and kind of talk about things that are going on at that moment within your course. So I know that was kind of a quick run through, but that's just a brief overview of what a typical course is going to look like and how you move through it. Jennifer?
Thanks, Ramon. So just a couple of things to just clear up because I see the chat. Ramon did. He walked through a lot, and we're walking through a lot this afternoon. But please know, this is being recorded. You're going to get the slide deck following the presentation, but we're also going to send you supplemental information in August, right before you're about to register for your courses, that will contain all of this information again. So it's not the only and last time that you're going to see it. We just find that it's really valuable for you to be able to get a glimpse of what it's going to look like. So at least it's not foreign or just completely new when you get to that first day of classes. One other thing that I just want to clarify is you will not be able to log into Canvas and see courses until you've registered for courses. So that won't happen until mid-August, which I'll get into a little bit further in the presentation. Thank you, Ramon. That was great.
Sure thing.
All right, I'm now going to pass it on to our program director, Dr. Joel Sokol, to walk through the curriculum. Joel?
Thanks. So yeah, now we get to kind of the fun part of what you all get to learn here. So let me show you what our curriculum looks like in general. We have an interdisciplinary core with two different levels. We have our basic foundational level courses, one in computing for data analysis, one in business fundamentals for analytics, and one in introduction to analytics modeling. On top of that, we have advanced core courses, data and visual analytics, data analytics and business, and a couple of electives that you get to take from statistics and operations research options. So you can see here that the interdisciplinary nature of our program really shows itself in the core. We have courses from computing, courses from business, courses from ISYE, which is where the statistics, NOR, and part of the machine learning is. And so all of that integrates into a nice interdisciplinary core that everybody takes. On top of that, everyone will get to choose from one of three tracks and take electives in their track. So you have three options. You can choose the analytical tools track, which is more statistics, OR, machine learning, the business analytics track, which is more about the business applications of analytics, and computational data analytics, which covers some of the machine learning parts, visualization, databases, things like that. You can see that the analytical tools track has more electives listed there, and the reason is that your advanced core statistics and operations research courses will come from that list as well. So we have three tracks. Everybody has to choose one. You're welcome to choose more than one if you want. A bunch of our students every year choose to complete two tracks by just taking extra electives, and a few have even completed all three tracks, and you're welcome to do that too if you want. We asked everybody when you all applied what track you preferred. That was more just informational for us. You're welcome to change tracks at any time. And in fact, you don't even need to tell us. The Georgia Tech DegreeWorks system will automatically detect what track you're in just by the courses you've taken, and you'll be ready to graduate that way. So you can change tracks at any time. You can add a second and or even third track whenever you want. So on top of those courses, everybody needs to do at the end of the program an applied analytics practicum, which is a 6-credit-hour course. And the primary focus of that course is you doing an analytics project for some company or organization. A lot of you, most of you probably are working at a job where you have some analytics responsibilities right now. And if that's the case, then when you get to the practicum course, you can use some of that analytics responsibility you have as part of your job as your practicum project. And so you can be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, essentially satisfying the academic requirement, registering for the course, and just doing your job. If you don't want to do that, or you're not in that situation, that's okay. You can get a practicum project with a different company or organization, or you can come to us and we'll give you a project that a company has brought to us and ask that our students do for the practicum because they really care about what the result is and they want people to look into it. So one way or another, you'll get a chance to do some real analytics applied work for a company or organization before you graduate. So that's our curriculum. I just want to make a very clear warning here. Make sure your prerequisites are solid before taking courses. I know a lot of you in your application told us that either you were kind of rusty on some of the prerequisites because you might not have seen them in 5-10 years, or even that there were 1 or 2 that you hadn't seen. And that's fine. Obviously, we admitted you. We think you have really strong potential and you're going to do really well. But you've got to make sure you have that prerequisite knowledge down before you start even our first courses. Otherwise, you're just kind of setting yourself up for failure. These are not checkbox requirements. The prerequisites are there because that's what you need to be able to do well in order to succeed in our courses. And we want you to succeed in our courses. Unfortunately, in the past, we've seen some students who kind of jumped in and said, well, I don't think I really need this prerequisite. And they really did, and it showed. And they got themselves into some difficulty. So please make sure your prerequisites are solid. Just as a reminder, that means calculus, calculus-based probability and statistics, computer programming in Python, and linear algebra. All right, now back to our regular scheduled show. What courses should you take first? Since you're all new to the program, take the introductory core courses first. So ISYE 6501, which is the course I teach, is a good course to take before taking other ISYE labeled courses. And computing for data analytics, CSE 6040, is a good prerequisite to have before taking any of the other computing courses. I would recommend taking both of those. In fact, you need to take both of those before you take the advanced core courses, both the computing one and the management one. So if it's your first semester, please do not take just Management 8803 as your only course. It's an important topic. The fundamentals of business are really important for everyone in analytics and data science to know. It really, really helps you make your work more effective if you have a good understanding of how the business works that you're part of. But it's the only course in our program where the content is not analytics. It's really a business course, essentially an MBA core curriculum, all compressed into one course. And so it's not a great course to take as your very first one in the program if you're taking it all by itself. So once you've taken the introductory core courses, you can move on and take the advanced core courses and the electives in whatever areas you want to take. I would suggest, and we all suggest, take just 1 or 2 courses at a time if you're working either full-time or even part-time. These are serious, rigorous graduate courses. They could take 10 to 20 hours a week per course. And so because these are rigorous courses, part of a very serious degree, it's important to make sure you have the time to devote for them. So just take 1 or 2 courses at a time. And especially in your first semester, be a little bit careful not to bite off more than you can handle at once. All right, so coming back to this question of what courses to take first, these introductory core courses, the computing one, the management one, and the ISYE one, you might have enough background to be able to replace one of those courses with an additional elective. So for example, if you have a business degree or a business minor, you probably don't need the business fundamentals course. If you have a computer science major or minor, you probably don't need the computing for data analytics course. And so you can apply to replace one or both of those courses with an advanced elective. You also, some of you may have taken one of these courses in the MicroMasters program through edX, and if you've done really well, you can apply to have that course count toward the degree. You can retroactively apply for credit, and we'll send out forms for both of those things if you want to do that. So here are some sample programs. Yours can vary, but just to give you sort of a flavor of what you might be able to do, taking 2 courses per semester, 1 course per semester. Of course, you can change the sequence, you can change the speed. We have students who take more courses in one semester, fewer in another, depending on what happens in their lives, professionally, personally, etc. And that's all fine. We understand that there's a lot of other more important things going on in your life than this degree, and we try to be as flexible as we can for you. Overall, Georgia Tech allows 6 years to finish a master's degree, and so you should have plenty of time, whatever your speed is in the degree. So let me just finish with some tips for success. On the academic side, the biggest one is to make the time commitment. Like I said, these courses could take 10 to 20 hours a week per course. Make sure you're setting aside the time and setting yourself up for success. When you're taking courses, keep up. If you fall behind, it's really hard to catch up. Try to keep up week by week with the course as new materials and new assignments are released. Keep in mind when you're watching these course videos, they're not just TV. So take notes just like you're sitting in an in-person class. Just like you're in the room with the professor, take notes just like that. Except you have some extra tools. So when my students here in Atlanta are sitting in my class, if they miss something that I say, it's gone. But you guys have better technology than that. You can pause me, rewind me, have me say the same thing over and over and over again. The video me won't mind. So please go ahead and take advantage of that to be able to understand as you're going along what it is that people are saying. And finally, learn from each other and help from each other. We have a really great cohort of students coming in. You all have such a wide range of backgrounds and interests and experiences. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of the message boards, both the formal ones on Piazza, and usually students will have informal ones often on Slack. Make the professional connections that'll help not just right away, but throughout your career. Really take advantage of those opportunities. And keep in mind, you may not get an instantaneous response. It's not like you're face to face, but 24/7, there are people all around the world. There are TAs and faculty who are watching the message boards most of the time. So you can get answers 24/7. Please take full advantage of that. And then on the administrative side, please read everything we send you. Like Jennifer said, we really try to be respectful and not overload you with lots of email and stuff. But there are important things that you need to know sometimes. So when you get communications from the program, from advisors, from instructors or TAs, please pay attention and read them. It's important. Get ready early. So get familiar with the different platforms, install software if it's needed for courses. There are some courses where you have to download and install some free software, so do that up front. Troubleshoot things early so that when the time comes to use it, you're not running into trouble in the middle of a time crunch. Ask for help if you need it. Like I said, it's not instantaneous, but it is 24/7. And the help is there. We want you to succeed. We're all on your side here, and we want to help, but there are so many of you that you need to ask. So please raise your hand and ask if you need help with something. And whether it's academic or administrative, we'll all be happy to help you. And finally, be collegial with each other, with staff, with faculty, with TAs. Everybody's on your side. We're all pulling for you. We're all trying to help you succeed both in our program and professionally afterward. So let's all just get along. And that's it on the academic side. I'm going to turn it back over to Jennifer.
Thanks, Joel. All right, so we're going to walk through a couple things with registration and course load. So by default, all of you are set at a maximum of 6 credit hours per semester. The reason being is the majority of our students are part-time, and as Dr. Sokol just mentioned, we don't recommend working professionals take more than 2 courses. If by chance you're taking the program full-time or needing an exception to ask for an increase, you would email the program. So it's the email address that we've been sending you emails from, and I'm going to show it at the end of the session. And briefly explain in that request as to why you're making it. These credit hour will be reset every semester. So it's not like you request it one time and then it'll be in place for the remainder of the program. It's on a semester by semester basis. And a credit hour increase can only be made after your time ticket is assigned, which I'll get into in a minute. If you are working full time, we strongly suggest that you avoid taking more than 6 credit hours per semester. You're going to hear this from us a lot, and to be honest with you, it's really not coming from us. It's coming from the students before you. They tested the waters and they said that it was too much, it was too overwhelming, and in some cases they just ended up not doing very well, which there are repercussions to that. Students can register for as little as 1 course per semester. So if you want to take that lighter load and take 1 course every semester, you can definitely do that. If you do, you're not required to register for every semester. So we get a lot of questions like, do I have to take courses every semester? No, you can definitely pause. You could step out. We know that things happen. We are the type of program where if you're not registered, we're going to reach out to you and ask you, are you okay? Do you plan to register? Do you plan to come back? And if that's the case, no worries. What happens is if you sit out for 2 or more consecutive semesters, that's when you would need to request that readmission, and there's a readmission form and a fee. Students, as Joel mentioned, have up to 6 hours from their first semester to complete the degree and graduation requirements. And once again, you've seen in some of the emails, especially the ones that you're about to receive coming with registration details. These courses are rigorous, they are challenging. We often get asked, is it just like the on-campus? It's exactly like the on-campus. It's the same course, same faculty, same assessments. So average 10 to 20 hours per week per course. So when you're trying to figure out how much you can handle and balance, you're going to need to do the math. So when you take 2 courses, that's 20 to 40 hours per week on top of everything else that you're trying to do in your job and in your life. All right, so Joel mentioned this, but I just want to kind of walk through the dates and how you can expect this. So advanced standing petitions, you will receive a form if you took an edX MicroMasters course as a verified learner, meaning you paid the $500, you took all the assessments, you can petition for advanced standing. This means that you will receive, if approved, you would receive credit. It would not be averaged into your GPA. This petition form is going to come out in September. So we only send this out to our students that matriculate into the fall term. Decisions will be made and processed in October. In the meantime, register as if you have credit. We don't want you taking courses where you have the potential of getting advanced standing credit. And if you don't, if you miss the deadline, don't worry about it. We actually send out the petition form 3 times per year, September, January, and May. And like I said before, we're sending you monthly communications that include all of this information, so you'll have plenty of time to complete it again. Now, in regards to the foundational opt-out request, those went out in July, earlier in July, and the due date was Friday, July 12th. So what this means is if you would like to apply to be able to opt out of our 3 foundational courses, so the CSE 6040, ISYE 6501, and Management 8803, and let's say you missed that deadline, don't worry, that also will be distributed again in September, January, and May. We do recommend that that you take some time thinking about if you meet the requirements. So the example that we like to give is that if you already have an MBA, or let's say a minor in business, then you most probably will be allowed to opt out of MGT 8803, given that that is an intro business course. All right, registration details. So you will be able to register in phase 2. So new graduate students register in phase 2. Once you're a current student, then you would be able to register in phase 1. So right now it's phase 2. There's 2 phases in the registration system, and don't worry about remembering that. We're going to give you plenty of details. But as Yvonne walked you through, you'll log into Buzzport, you'll click the icon to register for Oscar, and then you'll add your CRNs to the worksheet. So just as I mentioned earlier, we're going to provide you all the courses and all the CRNs. So all you have to do is pop them in there, submit changes, and then you should be registered for your courses. If the course happened to fill up, there is a wait list for every course, and how that works is that as people drop from the courses and make changes in their schedule, it will go in the order of those that registered, and they'll be placed in the course. Our course inventory has grown significantly over the 2 years since we've launched the program, so there are plenty of courses to choose from. If you run into any issues, please don't hesitate to let us know, but especially with your first semester when you're registering for foundational courses, you shouldn't run into any problems. So as I mentioned, phase 2, this is all dependent on your time ticket. So on August 2nd, you will receive an email as to what your time ticket is. And what that essentially means is what time will the registration system be open for you to register. And new graduate students have this, and this is for everybody across the Institute, so undergraduate, graduate, etc. And so new graduate students have a certain time ticket, and they try to space them out. So definitely look for that. And then once you get that time, register. You do have the opportunity to make changes to your schedule up through August 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Georgia Tech is located in Atlanta, Georgia, so all of our deadlines are on Eastern Time, given where we're located. Even though you have up until the 23rd to make changes, we do advise you to, if you can, register by the August 17th to ensure that you have access to all those platforms, Canvas, edX, etc., by the time that courses start on August 19th. If you do make changes in your schedule, just as Ramon had indicated, give it a day or two to be able to get into the system. If it goes past that and you're still not in the course, then definitely reach out to the program team and we can help. One quick thing that we just wanted to go over is, because we get asked this a lot and it's hard to find within the Georgia Tech website, so we just wanted to give it to you here. Up until that August 23rd, you can make add changes to your schedule and it won't appear on your transcript. So by Friday at 4 p.m. of the first week of classes, you can add, all that good stuff. You could do it a number of times and it's not solid. It's not in stone. After that Friday at 4 p.m., your schedule goes into stone essentially. And so if you did want to withdraw from a course, you would receive a W on your transcript, but you would have no letter grade. So the withdrawal deadline is by the midpoint of the semester. And this is where we just advise students to really take a look at how you're performing and how you think you'll do the remaining of the semester, because the letter grade that you have is a letter grade that you have. And for graduate students, it's unlike undergraduates or some undergraduate programs where when you retake a course, it doesn't cancel out the original grade. In fact, with graduate students, it gets averaged. So just be mindful of that, and we will give you plenty of reminders about the withdrawal deadline and what it means, but it's really up to you. After that withdrawal deadline, you would receive the letter grade that you earned. So the benefit of withdrawing for a course is that if you don't think that you're performing the way that you should, you could withdraw and take it another semester. Academic standing. So this is another thing that we just want to make sure is clear to our students. So academic standing is based on both the term. So we use term and semester interchangeably, but term grade point average and overall average for the student. So the GPA that you made for that term, but then also your cumulative combined GPA of all the terms. So the minimum term and overall grade point averages for students to be designated as being in good standing is a 2.7. It's a 2.7. So when you take a course, like let's say one course, and if you were to get a C, that's a 2.5. And so that's where the different academic standings come into play. If you drop below that 2.7, then there are a number of standings that you could be given. So an academic warning, academic probation, and academic dismissal. You never go from good standing to academic dismissal. There's always a step in between. But I'll tell you where, if you're taking one course or your first semester, where this could expedite the standing process. If you earn a C, and that's under a 2.7, you will be put on academic warning. If you receive a D, you will be put on academic probation. And then the next semester, if you don't bring it up, then you would be dismissed. So just be mindful. That's why we say any grade could have a short and a long-term repercussion on you. If you're dismissed, you do have the ability to apply for readmission. But as far as Georgia Tech's policies are concerned, that is your only shot that you have to come back. And so that's why we just ask, please be mindful of your grades and how you're performing, and truly do not sign up for more courses than what you can handle. Lastly, we do recommend for you to earn those B in 2 out of your 3 foundational courses, because those are the courses that are prepping you for the courses that are to come later in the curriculum. All right, very quickly. So tuition, for those of you who have been on our information sessions or our website, our tuition rate is $270 per credit hour. This is a 36 credit hour program. And so a lot of times people ask us, well, what's the total amount of tuition and fees? And that all depends on the amount of semesters that it will take you to complete the program. So the tuition doesn't change. You can calculate that by the credit hours that you're taking, but you would need to assess those mandatory student fees of $301 per term each semester. So just kind of keep that in mind. The payment deadline for fall or for any term is 1 week after you've started classes. So in this case, it's August 26th at 4 p.m. for our fall term. If your bill is not paid, or if you haven't made arrangements, you will be dropped. And if you want to be reinstated, you will need to be required to pay a $200 reinstatement fee. So we recommend that you pay your bill on time or make arrangements to have your bill paid on time, because once you start assessing those reinstatement fees, you're making an affordable program not so affordable. And last on the payment options, and like I said, you're going to get this deck, so you're going to get all of these links, is that there's a number of things that you can do as far as payment options. So Georgia Tech has a payment plan. If your company is providing funding, there is third-party billing here at Georgia Tech. If you haven't already looked into your company's tuition assistance program, please do that. A lot of companies will sponsor or assist with graduate level programs. If you are looking for financial aid, we do not have any scholarships, but you are able to apply for federal loans. But just keep in mind that this only applies when you're taking 2 courses. Financial aid requires 4 credit hours to be eligible. And if you're taking 1 course, it's only 3 credit hours. All right, important dates. So as I mentioned, time tickets are generated on August 2nd, and you will get notified when those are released. Registration will open on August 10th, but keep in mind the registration window is about a week long, so you may not register on August 10th. You'll probably register a couple days after that when your time ticket states. The first day of classes is August 19th, which is a Monday. Courses will open up at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. The drop add period ends on that Friday, August 23rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. As I mentioned, the payment deadline is August 26th at 4 p.m. And then the withdrawal deadline is October 26th at 4 p.m. No need to write all these down. You're going to get plenty of reminders, especially before each of these occur, just so that we know you're busy, and we just want to make sure that it's front and center when it happens. All right, and last but not least, we just want to say you're not alone. So our approach is that we want to guide you through this process, both the program and then the instructional team, but we just want to make sure that you're clear as to who you contact when. So I like to say that the program email, so Yvonne, Justin, the team, it's everything except for what's going on in your courses. So with the courses, that would be your instructors and your TA. You would reach out to them on Piazza, that forum that Ramon mentioned. There's a general forum, but then you can also direct message. That's where you would ask those course questions, questions on assessments, exam issues, grading, etc. Now on the program side, this is where if you have questions on the program, like I have a hold, or I'm wondering, how many credit hours I can register for, any questions like you've been doing now, you would send it to the program team, which the email address is omsanalytics@gatech.edu. If you need grade verification letters, we mostly see this in December because a lot of companies require documentation prior to when grades are posted. And so if we can do it, we will. We'll work with a faculty member to see if we can get you a grade verification letter. Schedule questions, withdraws. And then the last one is that if you run into any personal circumstances, please let us know. When you step out or you disappear, like we get worried. You're not just a number to us, and so reach out, let us know. We do send out emails if you're missing in action. But if anything's going on that you need help with, we'd be happy to coordinate just with the program team, but then also your faculty as well. And last but not least, if you don't have this information already, here is our email address and phone call. I will say after a session this large, give us some time to get through those questions, but we will definitely get it to you. As I mentioned, you're going to receive an email with all the courses that are going to be offered this fall. That will blend nicely with all the information that you receive from Dr. Sokol. And then we're working on that kickoff packet, which will repeat a lot of the information that we mentioned to you and went through today, just in a little bit more detail. So now I'd love to pause to see what questions you have that we didn't cover. Again, if it is personal in nature or specific to you, that's where I would use this contact information on this slide to reach out to us. But I'm going to check chat, and then I'm just going to ask Justin and Yvonne if there's some things that we can answer or clarify.
Hey, can you hear me okay, Jennifer?
I hear you. Great. Thanks.
Great. So let's see, a few questions that have come up a few times. Buzz card. Funny thing is, we had a conversation before this session. Should we include information? And of course, that's one of the more popular questions today. So listen up. If you're interested in getting a Buzz card, which is our student ID card, if you're local to Atlanta or will be visiting Atlanta, you can simply pop into our Buzz card office. If you are not in that situation where you'll be able to visit in person, there are actually instructions on the Buzz card office's website, in their FAQ section, that covers the instructions on how an online OMS analytics student can get an ID card sent to them. So there is a process. It can be done. If you were to Google Georgia Tech Buzz card office, the first result should be the website for our Buzz card student ID office. And then just follow the instructions on that page. If you're going in person, the address is there. If you need to submit information to get it mailed to you, there is also instructions, again, in the FAQ portion of that website. Opt-out timeline. I know I saw a lot of questions. It seems like a lot of you all have submitted opt-out requests. We will have those results to you before your registration opens, so you will be able to make an informed decision when you register based on your opt-out feedback. More classes in the summer. So I think it was mentioned that, we do offer classes to continuing students in the summer. I saw a lot of folks asking if they could take more than one. Yes, technically you can take as many as you would in the fall and the spring, but we do not advise this. This would be a pretty bad idea simply because summer is only 11 weeks long, whereas fall and spring are 17 weeks roughly. But the content of the courses would be the same. So you're compressing what is typically a 17-week class into 11 weeks. So you're not quite doubling the amount of work you're doing every week for one class. So, each class is more like 1.5 classes. So in summer, if you're working full time, you probably would want to stick to one course. If you're not working full time, 2 might be manageable. We want you to obviously have a good rate of progression through the program, but we also don't want you to take on more than you can handle. You'll have a better idea of what this might feel like as we approach next summer, and you've taken some classes already through the program. You'll have a better idea about how much you can handle. Let me see. The only other question I have written down is there are questions about prerequisites within the degree program. So although we advise finishing the core requirements in a specific subject area before progressing beyond that area, we don't have enforced prerequisites in this degree program. So you can take the courses out of order, but we do not advise it because you will need skills from the core to progress through the courses. So for example, Intro to Analytics Modeling, ISYE 6501, prior to any other ISYE courses. Again, we don't enforce these requirements, but it's strongly advised. That's all I have written down. I'll scan through the Q&A and see if there's any more. Thanks.
Some of the questions that I see are related to the actual curriculum. I've been advising that we do send out a course list with course previews and course descriptions. I'm not sure where along the lines that email is coming out, but just to let everybody know that does get sent out, so you will have an opportunity to see the course description, and that's based on the catalog. Sometimes I know students want a little bit more detail. The course previews or videos, and that can provide a little bit more detail that you're looking for, and then you will have access to your syllabus. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, is it 1 or 2 weeks prior to the start of class, and that will give you even more information for the course and an opportunity to make any changes or adjustments if necessary.
Yeah, so I'll just clarify. So one is the course descriptions and preview videos. along with the CRNs. We have that, and that will go out this week. And so that is where that's what I was talking about, that you can then blend what Joel was saying in his recommendations, what we're being offered. And then, yes, we like to have the syllabus open 1 week prior. It won't be exactly probably a week for you guys, just for when your time ticket and when you'll be registering. But once you register for the courses, then you should be able to log in with the instructions that Ramon walked through with you and be able to see that syllabus on campus.
We also got a lot of questions about going back to prerequisites, and some students were just really asking about Python and R, particularly in the first two courses, Computing for Data Analysis and Introduction to Analytics Modeling. So Dr. Sokol, if you want to address that a little bit, thank you.
Sure. So programming in Python is a prerequisite. You're going to need that for CSE 6040 Computing and Data Analytics, and a little bit in ISYE 6501. ISYE 6501 has a lot more emphasis on R in that course, but we teach it to you along the way. If you know it already, or if you want to pick it up on your own before you take that course, it'll make the beginning of the course easier for you, and that's fine. If not, we'll kind of throw you in and give you a lot of help, and by the end of the course, you'll be able to do a lot of stuff in R.
Okay, given the time, I know that we didn't cover all of the questions, and our apologies. There's just a lot of communication to get out, but send in your questions, but know that a lot of things that you're asking for is going to be in this information that you're going to receive, but it would be great to be able to clarify it with you. So I saw a question which I do want to clarify. So you're going to get a copy of this presentation along with the recording next week. The reason why it's next week is because we have our second session. So given our large number of students, you could register for this week's session or next week's session. You do not need to register for both sessions. It would just be a duplication of everything that you heard today, but you are going to receive the recordings from both sessions, just so it's clear, along with the PowerPoint. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But like we said, after an event like this, we get pretty overloaded. So just a little bit of patience, but we will definitely get to them. So I just want to say, on behalf of myself and everyone, and I'm sure they'll chime in, welcome. We are once again so happy that you're going to be a part of Georgia Tech with us. And if there's anything that we can help you along this journey, please don't hesitate to let us know. We look forward to August 19th and the start of the fall term, but we'll talk to you quite a bit before then. Take care and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for joining us. See you soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, y'all. Bye-bye.